Hi everyone, Marika here with another video. Today it's a storybook style Polychromos coloring. I have two other videos with this, which are real-time coloring of the skin and of the hair, where I go into detail on kind of things to think about with the skin. So it's basically a skin tutorial during a real-time coloring video, and also same thing with the hair tutorial. This today I am doing a sped up version, so you would get all of the things in one video, including the dress and the background that I didn't do as real-time colorings. Also, I wanted to have a sped up version for people like me who maybe get a little bit impatient and want to see what's happening. But this isn't a proper tutorial. I will be talking about tips and tricks about pencil coloring and what you want to think about it. But if you want to have the specifics when it comes to the skin and hair, I would recommend the real-time coloring videos. Also, if you have seen all three of them, I would really appreciate if you would comment in the comment section down below and tell me which you prefer, or if you want both of them, or how you want. I also love if you would tell me what you would want to see here on my channel, what you would want to see more of here on my channel. This video will also contain a little bit of card making, which is a very simple card that I put together because I really love the image and I wanted it to speak for itself. So now into the coloring. We're gonna start off that the image is called Milas Love Heart. It is a Make It Crafty image, which I have printed on my Epson printer, which is a 3620 workforce with Durabright inks. I have printed it at 25% opacity, so that I will get these very soft lines. And the reason for the soft lines is because I thought it would fit better for these storybook-esque kind of characters. And now into the pencil coloring. The pencils I'm using are Faber-Castell's Polychromos oil-based colored pencils. These are artist grade colored pencils, and what I love about them is that they go on very lightly but smooth. If you would work with wax-based color pencils, they usually go on creamier but also thicker, which means you can't use as many layers. This style that I'm working in, the storybook style, was very much inspired by the creations of Jane Allen. She makes beautiful cards and coloring, and I will put a link down below to her blog. If you haven't been there, go and visit her and tell her that I sent you, that I love her creations. But yeah, anyhow, I decided to go in and do some coloring. For the base, this is actually something for the whole coloring. I am using the same two browns as the absolute deepest shadows. Or more on the skin, I actually use a brown in between them, but on the rest of the girl, I'm actually working with the walnut brown and then the nougat. And the reason for that is because they will kind of, adding them in the shadows will actually tone down some of the colors, and I really like that. It also helps to tie the colors together to give them more of a unifying part. So, few details. The only time I actually add some pressure to my pen when I'm working here is for the eyelashes and the pupils, but the pupils I actually go in with the black for several layers to just build up that black to get it as black as I wanted. But I try to be very, very, very light-handed when I work with pencils. I try to have my pencils very, very sharp. The reason for having sharp pencils, this is the fun thing, because when I've colored when I was younger, I colored also with pretty cheap pencils before. And when I colored them and I had a sharp pencil, because the cheaper the pencils are, the less pigment they have in them, which means you have to either put so many layers or press harder to get the color down. And because of that, if you sharpened the very, very cheap pencils very, very sharp, you would get very, very hard lines. And it would be hard to get the colors onto the paper and have that kind of even. So I was under the impression that that was how it worked with all pencils. And then I heard all of these really good artists out there talking about you really need to have super sharp pencils. And I'm like, how can that be? How can that be? But they kind of explained it as paper has something called a tooth, and that is kind of the texture of the paper. And you can see a bit of that texture through in this kind of style. And it's actually, I've chosen to do that because I wanted to have that white showing through to make it soft and storybook-esque. But yeah, those kind of mountain and valleys, when you put color on, if you have a blunt pen, you will only put the color just at the top of those mountains. While when you're working with a sharp pen, you will be able to get down in those little valleys, and therefore you will get a much better coverage on the paper long before you have flattened out the hills, because that is what's happening if you burnish, which is a finer word for pressing very, very hard on your pencils. You will push those mountains down, and then you will have a sleek surface and you won't be able to blend. So you just want to work very, very lightly with very, very sharp pencils. And you want to work in small, teeny tiny circles most of the time, unless you're actually after a streaky appearance like with this hair. Then you can actually work in lines, and then you will keep those lines. They won't blend out as easily. When you work with something like Copics, if you go over your very sharp lines, you will soften them a lot, and the more you go over, the more they will blend, and they will kind of lose their sharpness. When you work with pencils, you will, most of that kind of stripiness will be there. When you go over the lines again, you will keep a lot of those stripes, and that is why you should go, if you want a smooth look, go in teeny tiny circles. Now, pencil work is a very time-consuming work. I think that the total time after edited, so removed a lot of pencil changes and removed pauses where I think about what I'm doing, I think total coloring time was like 3.5 or 4 hours for this little image. So pencil takes time, but it's really worth it. And this was one of those times when I sat down to color because I needed to color. I felt I needed to kind of lose myself into my coloring. It's kind of therapeutic. I kind of use it a little bit as therapy, kind of makes me recharge a little bit when it's just me and my pencils listening to some good music. And for me, this image, it was so much fun to do, and I was so relaxed. I didn't stress it at all, and it turned out just as I wanted. I'm not a person that often kind of envisions things. I kind of go as I feel, but I really got the style that I was after. I was really happy about that. So yeah, now to the parts where that you hadn't seen if you hadn't seen the tutorials. Again, if you want to have a more detailed information on which color I used and how I did the hair, you can see the other 2 videos. However, all of the pencil used in this image will be listed in the description down below and on the blog, where you also have some close-up photos of the colored image. So the kind of small what is it called? A rosette? A bow. That's the word. It's a bow. That little bow, I'm using a whole bunch of blues, and these blues that comes with it, because I have all the full set of Polychromos, and a lot of the colors are very, very bright and very, that didn't really fit with the image. So what I have done is, after I have gone in and done all the kind of base shading, picked out where I'm gonna put my drop shadows and all of that, actually going to go in with that Nougat, which is the lighter color. Kind of figured that the Walnut was a little bit too dark when I wanted to have a light blue dress. So then I just stepped it up to go to the Nougat, which also is a very neutral brown. I use that in the shadows, and only in the shadows. I haven't used it all over, just in the shadows, and that actually helped a lot to kind of tone down the dress and make it not so bright and more like the rest of the image. So tying the things together. When it comes to the coloring of the dress, I really like how I got her puffy arms and the kind of mid dress, but not so happy about the skirt. I ended up inverting what I wanted to do. It wasn't my meaning, but you can see that I got like, it looks like she put her dress on outside in, and I tried to fix it, and it didn't really work. I made it wrong, but that's okay. You learn. That's all with coloring. Every time you do something, you learn. So just for fun, I wanted to make this card as a little love card to my boyfriend. So I, instead of just coloring this as a luscious heart, I decided I wanted to make a little sign, and I wanted to make a wooden sign. There's a small tips about how to make it something look like wood. One of them is to give it wood grain, and if you add a couple of those kind of U-shaped parts, it will look even more like grains. I mostly used the just vertical lines, but somewhere I did like small U shapes. And here's again is a very good a very good view, sort of, I can't get the word in my head right now, of layering example, that was the word I was after, of how you can build up colors with layering to get the brown tone that you really like. for the finished or the last part, I'm actually doing a very, very soft background. I didn't want the background to overtake the front image, which means that I wanted the background to be very, very much lighter than the girl in the front, but I did want some details. I wanted the trees to look a little bit rounded, so I'm using a couple of different green tones on the trees, a couple of different green tones on the ground. Just there I was softening the edge between the trees and the ground, and then a very, very, very soft blue layer at the top, just to make it look like it's a little bit of a sky. And yeah, that was all of the coloring. So for the card, what I did was I cut down the card, and I actually made her about the size so that she would fit wide base with a good mat on a standard A2 card base. However, she became a little bit shorter, so you can always take a standard A2 card base and just cut it down a little. That's how I did it. Then I matted it on some latte cardstock by My Favorite Things, and then onto the card base. It's about a 1/4 of an inch bigger each layer, so that it would fit on her. And yeah, that's what's the coloring video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like it, please thumbs it up. If you have any comments, any questions, any tips, just place them down there. And if you just jumped onto my video, please press that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!